So welcome back to our mentor awards in US payroll. So as we have discussed yesterday, we'll be going through the each step by step goal specific learning. Okay. So today we'll be in this today's sessions. I will cover the RICEF functional specifications with some sample examples. This topic will be going into very detail about it. It is very
Okay.
important for any functional consultant. Okay. So for any typical project, whether you're working in a implementation project or a support project, doesn't matter. So functional specs is a very crucial plays a very crucial role in a typical HCM or any other projects. Okay. So having
Okay.
said that, so is RICEF, I have a question for you, Jack. This RICEF only for SAP or any other products as well? Can you guess?
Yes, for every product, but functional specification for every software, I think.
Hmm. Exactly. You are absolutely correct. So RICEF it's not a proprietary thing for SAP only. So it can be any product, okay, any software product. Okay, the functional specification will be there. Okay. So for RICEF it is not only for SAP, it is also for Oracle, Workday, whatever product you work for any software product. It is a very common thing. So having said that, I have another questions for you. You might be aware of this. What is the key difference between business requirement document and a functional specification document? Any guess?
Uh, business requirement is
We call it BRD in short.
BRDS, business
Yes.
requirement
Mhm.
document is is look looks like I can find the word.
Mhm.
Uh, I forget. Business requirement is
It's a high level. You can
how
see.
the business process
Yes.
fits into the software.
Yeah.
How to map the specific business processes
Mhm.
in the SAP.
Yes. You are very close to that answer. So basically, BRDs are generally prepared by the business analysts. Okay.
Yes.
So whenever there is a business analyst is analyzing a particular business process, they will be writing their thought process into that document. What are the business requirement? And it is very high level. Okay, suppose I am talking about a payroll process. Okay, suppose you need a so he the business analyst will talk about what are the areas of a payroll where exactly business is going having facing challenges, and what are the things required for that business to resolve those challenges, whether it can be reports, it can be announcement, anything. Okay, but these are at a very high level. Okay, business analyst describes those things at a very high level in that BRD document. What are the things required? But after BRD has been signed off, okay, so everything is required sign off, right? You might be knowing
Yes.
this. Okay, so after the business requirement document has been signed off, then comes to the role of your functional consultant. As a functional consultant, you'll be going through the BRD. I'm talking about, this is typical about implementation project I'm talking about,
Yes.
okay, from a typical implementation point of view. So basically, after going through that BRD, so you may have to coordinate with a business analyst, okay, as a functional consultant, if you would like to understand certain things. Then you break that things into multiple parts. Okay, so there can be requirement for a report, there can be requirement for workflow. Hmm. So those things, all the details, actually we go through those as a business, as a functional consultant. You start preparing those, means for you reference point is your business BRD document, business requirement document. That will be the single point of reference document, and from that you will be deriving various functional specifications specific to a specific area. It can be tax related, it can be your payroll reconciliation report related, or it can be some ESS, employee self-service, some related, some customization you may require, or it can be related to some interface you are building with, say, other third-party benefits provider or the time and attendance provider like your Kronos. So those things, all these things are there, and those can be designed by your functional consultant. Are you clear on this topic? the key difference
picture.
between, because this
Macro
question,
and macro and micro.
macro and micro, exactly. That's the very nice analogy. Yeah, thanks for that. So I'll be also giving one example here. So I'll start with a story. So you might have heard about this story, Elephant and the Blind Man.
Yes, I know that story.
So this is very
Famous
popular.
one.
It's a very popular story. Actually, it is also very relevant to our topic. Okay, so the business maybe may have asked for an elephant. Okay, but as a functional consultant, you might be thinking it's a pan or it's a pear, it's a snake, whatever your perception. Okay, but it is not like that. Basically, you have to think holistically as a functional consultant. You should not be restrict yourself to the only the in this example a rope of a elephant, rope your spear of the tree trunk of the elephant. So it should have a holistic thinking whenever you are having a giving a requirement and all those things, because it involves both analysis and synthesis. You're understanding the point? The
Yes.
analysis as well as synthesis, that is a skill actually. Okay, so just just to have a ice breaking, I just thought of putting the story
Yes.
here. Okay, so this is a very relevant for our scenario whenever you are designing any functional specification. And there is, it's a both art and science. Okay, I am saying it is both art and
Yes.
science. And there are, although there are some specific guidelines, but there is no restrictions. SAP doesn't have any restriction on any other product also. It is completely purely based. And even I have seen people, even one of my projects very long back, there is a lot of requirement of writing. So there are also, they have people hire for specific skill set like technical writer. You might be heard about that designation in the US also. People who only hired for this write these specifications and all. So
Mm.
depending upon the business requirement, it's a very huge project, or you're a product development company. Okay, so they write all those kind of specification in their own way, the flow. So that's the thing. Yeah, yeah. So that story,
Yes.
yeah. Does that story resonate with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very, very old story, and long back school days I
Yes.
learned that. Okay, so now with that background, now I will be talking about the concept. Okay, so concept. Whenever I'm starting the concept, so the RISE-FW, as we know, like the acronym stands for R for
Yes.
reports, I for interface, C for conversion, E for enhancement, F for forms, W for workflow. Okay,
Mhm.
so here some people write RICEFW, and some people like write W. They start with WRICF, RICEF. Some
Yes.
people call it. Both are same. Okay, nothing much
Mm.
different. The only the symbolic that letter they just swap it in the front end and back end. This is the overall understanding, means the definition of ISFW. And with that, we'll be going to deep dive into the topic. Yeah.
Okay.
So now we will starting with the first R for reports. Okay.
Okay.
So in a typical environment, so reports are the most frequently used for any SAP modules. Okay. And there are some. So what is a report basically? Any guess? So it's a, I'm not talking about the normal thing, means from a SAP point of view, from a technical point of view, what could be the reports, basically what we try to achieve generally through reports. Any guess?
Report is formed by specific fields
Hmm.
that contains specific information for business purpose
Mm-hmm.
or business analysis, I think. So that's
Yes, yes, you're absolutely correct. So basically, it is an executable program. Technically, your
mm,
SAP, any SAP report is an executable program that basically it will read data from the database. So you have a database in SAP, and it will generate the output based on certain filter criteria. Okay, so that is very
okay.
important. Filter criteria means, so whenever, as you have already worked on it as an end user, so you put certain kind of filter. Suppose I want to execute a report on a particular payroll area or a particular personal. Are you comfortable with those terminologies, right? Payroll area, personal
Yes.
area, personal
Yes.
area.
Yes. Yes. Of
So,
course.
okay,
Yeah.
so you need to filter by those filtering criteria. Okay, so that is in a selection screen, as in SAP selection, we call it selection screen. In that selection screen, we put some kind of filter. Then you go for downloading that report, executing that report and all. Okay, so basically, it's like a display of the data based on certain kind of selections. Okay. And one thing also you need to remember, whenever you're executing a report, it doesn't update any kind of database. Rather, only it extracts from the database, but it never ever update your database. Okay. So if it updates your database, then that will be come under a conversion. Okay. So that will be your conversion, means your BDC or LSMW. Those are different data migration tools or conversion tools. Okay, which we'll be
Yes.
talking about. Okay. That's the key difference between reports and conversion. Those are looks like, suppose you are working in a BDC. Okay. Have you ever used BDCs, right? Previously to upload any data? LSMW you have used.
LSM, yeah, I use it. I did
Okay.
use it.
Okay. It's a very, it's
I practice 5 or 6 times.
Oh, great.
using.
LSMW is actually very easy to configure. Okay,
Yes,
so like step by step, and very, as a functional consultant also you can do it. But for a BDC, actually you need a technical ABAPer help. Okay, so basically they will be writing some program, and you have to execute that program, and you have to prepare that file, and also that will be talking about in the conversion section. Okay. So is it clear? Like any questions regarding the definition of a report? Yeah.
Yes, it's clear.
Yeah. Now we'll be talking about types of report. Okay. So basically, you have 3 varieties of, when it comes to the SAP, there are 3 varieties of report. First one is standard SAP reports. In SAP, for every country, there are some country-specific localization reports. Okay, like for US, we have a W2, W4, all those specific reconciliation, specific targeted country-specific reports as well. And why we need a custom report is that in that case, suppose, let's say in the business, any kind of business requirement comes, and SAP doesn't say it's not meeting your requirement. Okay, when the standard reports, whatever you are having in your say, I'll be talking about a scenario here. Suppose you are having a union. Okay, and so you must have worked in any kind of union scenario previously. I'm not talking about SAP, but from a general HR point of view.
Yes.
So how is your experience working with a union?
Yeah, it's Morocco is totally different. But when I practice SAP here, there is CAP, CAP, grouping for CAP and grouping for PCRs, and specific agreements between the employee and the employer.
Exactly.
Regarding working hours, salaries, benefits, and so on.
Exactly. So basically what happens, suppose you're working in a union scenario, your union setup, many a times union are very unique to the company. Okay, so like every company will be having their different types of thing. So they actually, you need, in those cases, SAP will not be giving those kind of, because you have a different criteria, different types of pulling down those reports. So you anyway, for all those scenarios, you have to build your custom reports. Okay. So SAP, what they will do, SAP will be providing some standard reports very similar to that, but you may have to, some custom fields are required. Suppose you want to have a filter on the, you are having, suppose 10 different unions in your organization. So people are working different coming under 10 different unions, and say you have to filter report depending upon the union. So how do you do that? So basically you have to, in the selection screen, you have to put some additional criteria. Okay. So in those cases, you have to understand very clearly, like what are the different options are available, what are the different unions are available. So what are the selection criteria, and that you'll be writing down, functional specification whenever you are talking to a ABAPer. Okay. So basically you will be writing those criteria and what is the, how the selection screen should look like. Okay. So those things actually you'll be drawing in a diagram, or you will be putting in a, like in a Word document, and write very, it can be very simple also. Like it's not like always functional specification means there is a no, there is a particular format. I will talk about that today itself. But the word limit and all, there is no such criteria. As soon as you are able to explain what is the business requirement in your own word, so that the other person, the technical person, he is able to understand that, and he's taking meaning out of that, and he can start developing the program. That is more than enough. Okay? So that is the idea of how you'll be building custom report from basically as a functional consultant. You'll be defining those reports in your functional specification. Okay? And it is driven by the BRD as well. In BRD also, they must have in the reporting and analytics section, they must have defined what are the how many number of reports they will be delivering and what are the current challenges in the reporting. Okay, so they might be saying that at present the HR has to download report from a different software, different vendor. Okay, so maybe you may need to download a unified report from a single source, and SAP will be the single source of truth. So those kind of things they will be writing, and accordingly you have to design that particular report. Am I clear on this?
Yes.
Yeah. This is regarding the custom report, and our focus is on the custom reports only in our entire learning journey, in our entire series of this. So basically, you require for standard report, you do not require any any kind of report, means any kind of functional specification. Only for custom reports you need it. Okay? And similar the Idoc queries also, there is another segment. So basically, you have to put your queries like how to you want a particular report, you want particular data from a particular source. So it's a kind of a query. You can design that query, you can define that query, then you can execute that query. That we generally call it ad hoc queries. Also, it is little technical, but it's not so difficult as well. Okay, but from a RISE-FW point of view, only the custom reports we'll be talking about in this particular sessions. Okay, so after I explain, then I will be going through those topics. Okay, so I will say giving an example from a document. Okay, then we will try to understand that. Any questions before we go further?
Usually your last 5 years in support project, how many such request for functional specification for report?
Oh my God, very nice question. Custom reports, basically, I have, one of my project, I will say, when I was 2014-15, in that particular, that is purely, that is not specific to US, but for Indian payroll. But it was the client, depending upon the organization setup again, how much legacy they have done. So I have almost the count was 250 plus. Yeah.
So I'm asking this question because for interview. So if 5 is in support project 1 year, how many functional specification I expect to receive in the support as average?
Yes. So as an average, you can count one for week. Okay. So in that way, at max you can give 40 to 50. That is an average I will talk about. Okay. Because preparing 40 to 50, I'm talking depending upon you can say anything. Okay. 40, you can say 40 easily. And also it is not, there is also the different types of complexity also. Okay. It can be low, medium, high. You can say out of those 40 functional specifications, say RISE
40 a year.
Sorry?
40 specification a year.
40 specification in the functional specification in a year, you can say. Okay. So like you can say, like reports, so there are some 5 or 6 report, there are some 3 or 4 interface are a little bit tricky compared to other objects. Interfaces takes more time. Okay, so you can increase the number of enhancement more. Okay, say out of 40, there are some 20 enhancement. Okay, so enhancement are actually easy to build because it can be some minor configuration, minor coding. Okay, or minor body or any other kind of add-on. Okay, so those things will be configuring. Okay, so you can see increase the number of enhancement out of 40. Okay, just I'm talking about the segregation. Suppose you're talking about 40, you can say 15 to 20 enhancement. Then you can say forms, 3 or 4 forms, you can say. Okay,
a year.
You can say, means I'm just telling in general out of 40. Okay, so you can say forms are generally once built now, so you may not require all the time. Okay, suppose I'm doing in an implementation project. In the initial time, you may need for a form for a pay slip or a time sheet. Okay, but over a period of time, the requirements may not come so frequently. Okay, but enhancement for sure it will come every year. You will be having certain kind of high number of enhancement. So for that reason, you can put 50% to 50% weightage on the enhancement. Are you getting my point?
Yes, 50% of you said no, there should be 40 specification for. I'm talking of just for just give me average for 1 year support project. How many specific I should I get?
So in a typical 1 year project, I will say you can give I'm just talking about 40 number, okay, but depending upon the business, it is suppose I'm talking about a medium project, medium in the sense a medium size of organization, which is not having so much complexity, but in a complex environment the requirement can be more also, okay. So on an average, I'm saying
if 5,000 employee,
yeah, 5,000 employees, that is a good number. Okay, for 5,000 employee mid-size organization, then and suppose it's in US payroll environment. Suppose I'm talking about 40 things, 40 ISFW for a typical year. Okay, so and let's say the project is implemented after 2 years. After 2 years, you are supporting a project. Okay, in the initial year, there can be more number of your ISFW after implementation. Okay, suppose it's almost little bit stable, then I'm talking about that scenario. Okay, so
suppose, yeah, it's stable.
Stable. System is, that means the system is stable. Okay, suppose your let's say your project is implemented on 2018-19. Okay, and now it is after the cutoff, means hypercare and all those support phase. Now it is handed over to you to support. Okay.
Yes.
So and that from that point, your let's say your work starts from say 2020 January till 2021 January. You have worked for 1 year, and over that 1 year, let's say you are having you have received 40 different types of RISE-FW over in the service now. Okay, so in service now you have received different requests, and let's say out of 40, let's say enhancement, it can be, you can give a number of say 20. Okay, so let's say 20 number of enhancement you are getting. Okay, and let's say out of that, again conversion can be again for say 4 or 5, you can say. I'm just putting a number just to maintain, just telling average number. Reports can be also, it can be like say 5 reports. I was just putting it just a number. Okay, and then other than that, say how much it is now 30. Okay, so 30, then interface report I'll be putting a little bit higher because reports again may come more. Okay, so just I'm telling an average number 8 to 10, I would say. And interface, this is a number I'm just to tally that figure that and interface can be 2. Interface do not put too much, 2 to 3 you can say, because interfaces are really complex generally.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can see now that number is tallied now 25, 35 almost 35. Form you can put 2 to 3 forms. Okay, and similarly the workflow can be also, you can put single digit. Okay, the idea is you can put more emphasis on the enhancement and report. Okay, so from my experience, you can be getting a more number of enhancement and reports, and the other things, these are actually one time, because conversion, once you create it, you do not require it to create it once again. That will run forever. Okay, so but for enhancement, the requirement can change over a period of time. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
Yeah, today you have done something, some new rules came, some new legislation, some new changes came, and accordingly some new union rules came, new leave quota rules came. So accordingly, always enhancement you should be on the top. Okay, so that is my typical experience, and also the same with other consultants as well. Enhancements are like anything. Okay, so sometimes it also takes 60 to 70% of your total effort. Okay. So that is the overall figure to understand. Yeah, this is a common question. General people ask how many number of you generally of what.
Yeah, to get the picture. It's if interview, they ask you, you know, stories, specific numbers.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, maybe I know how, but
yeah, I got you. I got your point. Yeah. Any other questions before we move on?
Yes, regarding report as functional consultant, there is any occasion they give me to perform this report, or just the end user do it? performing report.
Yeah. So basically, so again, it depends upon your role. You have asked very nice question. So depending upon your role, basically. Okay, so like suppose you are a super user. Are you understanding who is a super user, right?
No.
Oh, okay. So I'll then explain. Suppose let's say you are reporting to the company's chief HR officer, CHRO. Okay. The CHRO may not be interested to go in depth of each and everything, but he looks for a dashboard kind of thing, dashboard or a very at a high level, the overall figure. Okay.
Yes.
So as you are reporting to CHRO, then CHRO may ask for certain key reports specific to your organization for US payroll. Okay. So it can be the final quarterly report for what is the quarterly. It can be also a general HR report like attrition. Okay, what is my attrition report for that last quarter, or how it has impacted my the overall, what is the total gross amount or total net paid for that particular quarter or particular month. Okay, so those kind of reports, suppose they are asking, then that particular reports will be given access to you. Okay, suppose that in that case your role is a kind of a user, business user, but you are a super user. That means you are having all types of access.
Okay.
Okay. So you're not only having the payroll execution or the all kind of access you are having. Okay. So that is a kind of super admin or super user role. Then comes another types of roles, I can say analyst. Those are the entry level, or you can say the mid level kind of a role, where exactly suppose any kind of issue is coming. Okay. Suppose or you have to build certain kind of reports deriving some after deriving certain kind of standard reports. Okay, this is the common scenario. I will say your company, suppose they have not created any custom report, and what do? You generally combine 2 to 3 reports and derive that data. That's a very common thing in most of the organizations which I have seen. Okay, so are you understanding? Like suppose there is a employee headcount report. There is another report for payroll reconciliation. Okay, and certain data.
Yes.
Actually, you will be getting only after combining those reports. Okay, so you may have to put a VLOOKUP or certain kind of things you do. Okay, so those kind of roles also possible as an analyst, payroll analyst kind of role, or a payroll coordinator. Okay, so they will be working on that kind of reports. Okay, so those are the different scenarios we do have. But
is for not part of a functional consultant.
It's not a part of functional consultant.
But they may request this to perform some time report.
Yes. Even I come across the scenario. Suppose let's say
I'm asking because the payroll data is sensitive, so maybe they have a preservation to give up.
Yes. So payroll data are sensitive. This is masked many times. Actually, even there are reports, audit reports also, like who has executed that report, how many times, and how many times that report has been the salary report. Basically, those are very salary sensitive data. So if you like, whenever you're downloading a report, it may happen your user ID or the employee ID or employee name can be masked. Okay, so those kind of things are also there. But as a functional consultant, you may be asked by the organization or clients that I need this report to be from system. Okay, it may happen the person is very new and he is not knowing how to execute those reports. Okay, or how to filter those reports. Okay, so as a functional consultant, yes, you can support them. Okay, by downloading the report from your system, because you will be having all the access, right? As a functional consultant, you should be having all the authorizations similar to a super administrator. Okay, then you download that report and you can send that report to your concerned department or concerned HR. You're getting my point? It can be both.
Yes.
Yeah. And also another thing I would like to say, as you have asked, like also these reports can be scheduled. Okay, suppose you want a particular report to be sent to a particular user, business user, every Monday morning. Okay, so you can also schedule the report in such a way that
like a job.
Like a job, exactly. You are talking about this exact terminology, job. So you are aware of job, right? So those jobs can be scheduled, and in a periodical basis that can be sent to the particular user in their email, in their mailbox. That can be also possible. Getting my point?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you ask me interview, did you perform some report? I say yes.
Yes, yes.
High chance to do that as functional consultant.
Yes, as a functional consultant, if any kind of assistance is required, definitely you can download those reports and you can share those reports with the business user. That is
Okay.
also a part of a job of functional consultant. Even I do that today also. Yeah.
Just make sure.
Yeah, sure. You can, yeah, nice. Thanks for that question. And that is all about the report, but we'll be going into documentation detail. But now just for the time being, I'll be explaining all this at ISFW, then we'll go to the document. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So now, when it comes to interface, so why we need an interface? So basically, I'll be giving an example here. Many of the organizations, I'm talking about the specific to payroll. There are many other
Yes.
scenarios as well. So when it comes to different organizations, like they might be using different types of time and attendance management system, or it can be like in US specific benefits module. So there can be different types of benefit functions also there for your dental, your vision. There can be different insurance plans and all. So what happens? These business processes, it may happen they are not doing it in the SAP system. They are maintaining
Okay.
it some non-SAP system or the external system. Okay. So like it can be like Kronos or it can be some other system. There are many other systems different like that. Okay. So in those cases, what you need, you have to send those data from SAP environment to the non-SAP environment, and in that non-SAP environment, the data will be processed, and after processing, that processed data again will be coming back to our SAP system. Okay, so I'll be giving a typical example of a Kronos. Okay, what happens?
Yes.
Generally, your time in and time out data will be captured in your Kronos. Okay, and depending upon that, so your overtime will be calculated. Suppose you are having 8 hours of work schedule. Let's say you have worked on another 1 hour extra on a particular day. Then
Okay.
for that 1 hour, the overtime calculation will happen inside the Kronos only. Okay, and after that processing, okay, there will be batch, means there will be a file which will be coming to our SAP. And from SAP, what data will be going in the initially? So from SAP, the employee ID, because you need a unique identifier to communicate between two systems, SAP and
Yes.
Kronos. That user ID will be mapped across the system. Suppose you are having a user ID of 1234, and same ID will be maintained also in the Kronos. So from that unique identifier, system will understand, yes, this is my employee ID, and this person has joined his today morning. He reached office at say 8:30 a.m. in the morning, and in the 5:30 in the evening, he has left the organization. So in that way, system will capture those time data, and after capturing those time data, it will process those time data, and accordingly, it will send the process data to the your SAP. Okay, so in that way, the both way the channel will work, and for that we have something called Idoc. Have you heard about this? Idoc. What is an Idoc?
Yes.
Yes. So basically, those IDOCs are used. It's a in short we call it Idoc, but actually it's an intermediate document. I for intermediate.
Intermediate. Yes.
Intermediate document. These are actually helpful for your data transfer. Any kind of data transfer happens, okay, through this. This actually works like a messenger. Okay, so like you're sending data from one
Yes.
system to another system, and from that system again, they will bring back to the data from our original SAP system. Okay, so this is a
Okay.
typical example, and I'll be giving a couple of examples. So maybe tomorrow I'll be giving that proper with a proper specific what kind of how you'll be maintaining those things in the document functional specification. Okay, but for the timing, I'm just giving it a high level. So these are different things will be coming across your
Okay.
interface. Okay, so now any questions on the interface? We'll go into detail about it. No worries.
Yeah, that's the same question. I'll just my role there is you're gonna give me the example for this.
Yeah. I
Okay.
will give definitely. I will be giving an example. Means a typical 2 to 3 examples I'll be giving, which most frequent in US it is used. Okay, like a Kronos or any specific to benefits. Also, there are so many things interfaces are there. Okay, I'll be giving a couple of examples tomorrow, and we will be.
Okay.
And also, I'll be giving a task for you, activities for you. So what I will do in those tasks for all of this object, for each object RICEFW, I'll be talking. As a business, suppose let's say I'm a business analyst for a typical organization, and I'll be giving a business requirement at a high level. Okay.
Okay.
So that as a functional consultant, you need to prepare SFW object for me in a document. Okay. So it can be very simple also. I do not want very long, lengthy and all those things, but just how you're articulating that thought. Okay, so I'll be speaking a different language. Okay, as a I'm talking about in a functional consultant language, but as a business consultant or a business analyst, I'll speak in a different language, and in that language, you have to convert that into a functional specification. Okay, that activity tomorrow I'll be giving to you. You may take your time, say 3 days, 4 days, depending upon your availability. So we can at the end of the training, and you can give back that document to me, so that I can evaluate it, and also I'll be giving my feedback on that. Is that fine?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So that is regarding your R and I. C for conversion. So when I say conversion, basically conversion, where exactly these are used. Most of the organization, whenever you are implementing a project, you will be having your data in some other format, say your legacy format. You understand legacy, right?
Yeah, legacy system, yes. The old platform.
Yes. The conversion. Just a minute.
Okay, take your time.
Yeah. So conversion data will be basically, you'll be converting data from one format to another format. Okay. So basically, whenever you are having data in a legacy system, you'll be having some certain format, right? So, yes. But whenever you are uploading data to SAP system, so you'll be uploading that in a SAP requires in a typical format. Okay. Suppose it is a LSMW. I will give you typical examples are here. Okay. LSMW, what is the full form? Any guess?
Yeah, I did some practices, yes. But what I know, the LSMW is the data not that big. If the data huge, we use we contact with ABAP for conversion. Yes, right?
Yeah. So LSMW, actually, even a functional consultants, they can create it. It is not very difficult. Okay. But if it involves a lot of screens, okay, suppose LSMW cannot handle in those scenarios. Suppose you are involving, if it is a simple screen, single screen, so then in those cases, it is very easy to understand. But you are having a multiple screens to handle, then it is not that much intelligent to handle those kind of data migration. Okay. So conversion also known as different name. Also, it is known as data migration. Whenever you're doing any kind of data migration, that is those things also will come under conversion object. Okay. Another type of conversion, as I have mentioned, BDC. Okay. Or we typically, it is also known, the full form is, it's a batch job. Okay. Batch data communication. Okay. So it is purely done by the ABAPer. BDC is always done by the ABAPer. And you'll be also telling what are the columns. As a functional consultant, you'll be mentioning what are the columns are required in a typical, whenever you're uploading. Okay, you'll be giving the format. But LSMW, as a functional consultant, you can build it. Okay, so functional consultant can build this LSMW. Okay. So this is a little simple one compared to other objects. If I see, okay, conversion are relatively easy. Whenever it comes to the writing the FS, okay, only you have to understand what are the columns in a particular template. Okay, then that you have to also tell what are the field name. Okay, so in SAP, what are the field names for that particular column. Okay, so suppose I'm talking about info type 8. Okay, so your table name will be, what is the table name? Any idea?
A table name, yes, I know how to get the information. Yeah.
PA0008. Okay,
table name, yes. P8, yes. The table name and the field and program.
Yeah. Okay. So those little bit of things you have to know only, like what are the program name, what are the table name, what are the field name, okay, and what are the corresponding your actual name of that particular field. Okay. So both technical field name and your normal field name or info type field, you have to tell to the ABAPer that you have to mention in your FS or the functional specification document.
Yeah, I did practice some.
Okay, great.
To access this field.
Yeah. Great to know that. Yeah. So basically, after doing that, So your developer will be developing that all these things, and you will be guiding him also, like how to do the testing. And one thing I have to say, in each and every FS, also we'll be having a section called testing, unit testing document. Okay, so how will you testing that particular object? Anyway, Alice is showing that anyway shortly. This is for a
Okay, sure.
conversion. Yeah. So this is regarding the conversion and enhancement. As I was saying, it can be anything. So it is a high, always high in number in a typical project. An enhancement can come like any kind of, it can be a cosmetic change. So you are understanding what is a cosmetic change, right?
No.
It can be like some look and feel. Okay, UI UX. In the technically we call it UI UX.
Okay.
User interface or user experience. So that suppose
it's cosmetic. Okay.
Suppose in a typical report or in any kind of selection screen or any kind of a particular info type, you would like to have any additional field. Okay, so in that additional field you may require for a that is not offered by SAP standard. Okay, that particular field you would like to add in a particular info type. Okay. So that can be also the example of enhancement. So that can be also enhancement, and also the baddies, business add-ins. Okay, we may need all those. SAP already provides all those baddies, or we call it business add-in or a plugin. We can say business add-in. So SAP will be providing those pointer, and in that actually your ABAPer can take for every most of the country specific localizations and all. So they give this kind of options. Okay, so after going through that particular options, what are the options that are available, your ABAPer can analyze that, and then he will say whether it is possible and not possible, what are the client's requirement. Okay, suppose so in those cases, whenever customer requirement comes, first of all you have to check, is there any existing body or user exits? Okay, those are the terminology we use. Okay, are available or not. If it is available, before committing to the customer, you will be speaking to the developer first. Okay, after the developer says yes, it is feasible whatever you are asking, so then you can start writing the functional specification. So it is a little different here. Whenever you're writing such kind of a body related or enhancement related these things, okay, so you have to have a lot of conversation before writing this FSS also. Okay, because if it is not feasible, then there is no point in like preparing for that. So that is the case here. You're getting my point? No?
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll be talking. I'll focus on more enhancement also. I'll give you some 5 to 7 examples for this. Okay. And now next comes the forms. So forms are actually easy again. So you'll be having an example like I will say mostly HR forms. We have a concept called HR forms where exactly we design the pay slip. Pay slip is a common requirement in a typical payroll example, or it can be like your timesheet. So these are a couple of examples. So you can come, or a payroll reconciliation. All the standard is there, but sometimes some customer ask like some specific fields to be built in that report. Okay, reconciliation report. Any kind of reconciliation.
We're talking forms as reports.
Not exactly, but forms are basically, it is based on your Adobe form. There is a concept called Adobe form or smart form or interactive form. You must have heard about it. Okay, so when I say forms, basically it's a kind of a PDF. Okay, whenever it should be downloaded, it should be downloadable from your SAP environment, and it can be printed, it can be mailed, it can be downloaded in a PDF format. Okay, so that I mean is a form. Okay, so those forms also plays a very important role, but again it is not a very frequent requirement. Mostly during your initial phase of your implementation, okay, then you will be coming across those requirements. But over a period of time, you may be the organization may require to do certain kind of changes in the pay slip. Okay, let's say after 2 years, the company has acquired some other company. Okay, it's a merger and acquisition scenario, and the logo has been changed. Okay, you may require to change the logo in the payslip as well. Okay, or some additional field or some additional waste type came up, and some of the waste types also got obsolete over a period of time. Okay, so in those cases also, you may have to remove those old obsolete waste types, or you may have to add those new waste types also. Okay, so those kind of scenario also generally comes when it comes to pay slip and all. So I'll be talking about more about it. Okay, so whenever also I have a specific gift for you, like specific to for forms. I have a SAP press book for that. Okay, so I'll be sharing that SAP press book for you. It's exclusively for only for forms. Okay, so that forms actually I'll be just sharing with you that I'm talking about. I was just going through that yesterday. That if it is still relevant. Okay, so just let me know if you're able to see my PDF book.
Yeah, I can see it. Yes.
Yeah. So this is the PDF. SAP, it's a 200 plus pages only for dedicated for forms. You can imagine what is the depth of it. Okay, and so it's all about your Adobe form, the architecture. Okay, how SAP interacts in the interact. All the technical details are also there. Okay, you may not require all those details, but at a high level, I will say you can see means if you go through it at a very high level, you'll be getting confident enough that yes, I can also do it. Actually, it is a particular job of a ABAP, but still, this is actually also helpful for as a functional consultant to go through it. Okay, so like all these topics are there. This will be I'll be sharing with you. At least you should know the mechanism. Okay, so I suppose I'm talking about say forms, how the payroll results are stored and how it is derived, and all the data selection happening. The mechanism behind the story means what happens in the behind the SAP. Okay, whenever you're downloading a report, or sorry, the form or say pay slip, what happens inside the backend system. So those things are there. So this is a gift from me. I'll be giving it with you. Yeah, so this is the one. And also for reporting, also I do have a 400 plus pages one very nice ebook. Okay, so this ebook also I'll be sharing with you. It is actually exclusively it is for both technical and functional. Okay, so we'll be also getting a good idea. This is a little old book, but the concept remains the same. Okay, so ad hoc query, all those details are there, but it is a little scanned book, so you may find, but it is readable. Okay, so you can, are you able to read through, right? So
yes.
Yeah. So this I'll be sharing with you, this both the book. Okay, and after that, and as we move on, I'll also have some surprises for you. So I'll give all those giveaways for you, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, so this is regarding HR forms and all. Next comes your workflow.
Regarding the W2, this last year is form not frequent changes will be correct.
Yes.
Not that for frequent. If you ask 1 year, if I said no, this last year I didn't receive any request for it. It's normal.
Normal, yeah. So most of the standard reports you do not have to worry about it. Okay, so if any changes happens, or SAP only they themselves do the changes in the system. Only you have to apply those notes or KBS. Then SAP will be your responsibility as a functional consultant to test that. Okay. So those scales, all the statutory things requirement, all kind of regulatory changes, which is mandatory for.
It was any change in last year? Any changes in W2 or not?
W2 no. So as such, there is no changes. Okay, but in case of any related specific COVID-19, couple of things came, which I'll be sharing with you in the maybe after 2 sessions. Okay, whenever I'll be talking about the incidents, right? In that most frequent tickets in PYUS or year-end adjustment. In these sessions, I'll be talking about what are the new changes came up, and also this tax updates, this notes KBA. In that section, I'll be covering very detailed way. Okay, so you do not have to worry about it. I will cover everything there.
Okay.
So this is regarding the forms and the workflow. Where we need a workflow? Wherever we are having any kind of approval. Okay, so with that we need a workflow.
Yes.
Okay, so workflow, it can be again level 1, level 2, depending upon the organization's policies, culture, and all. Most of the government organization I have seen, they use a lot of level workflow, like 2 level, 3 level, they keep it. But there is no such restriction like how many levels, but it's always best practice to keep it simple. Okay, because if you're done more the number of workflow, you'll be having more your handoffs will be happening across different persons and all. So whenever you are defining, it can be related to the leave or leave application. Mostly we use in the employee self-service. Okay, so you suppose you are applying for a leave and your manager will be approving that. It's as simple as that. That's the one level. Or it can be timesheet application. Okay, suppose you are filling the timesheet for.
It is similar to SuccessFactors workflow.
Yeah. So the workflow concept remains the same. Like in SAP, we are doing it through a program, but in SuccessFactors, we directly can write our business rules and workflow those triggering conditions. We can write all those things. We can do. So that's a typical style. SuccessFactors is more easier, you can say. But in ABAP, in SAP on-premise, still you have to depend upon the technical developer. Okay, so to build those kind of workflow. So this is the overall concept. Any questions? I just give an overview of all these objects so that we can go deep dive. Yeah. So this is regarding the concept of RISEP-W. We have talked about the stories, the skill set yesterday I have discussed, but the skill set basically the overall one I discussed. Then I will be coming to the leading practices. Okay, so what are the different leading practices whenever you're writing these functional specs or technical specs? So I'll be covering more on the focus of the more functional spec side, because technical anyway you will not be writing. Your technicals, your consultant will be writing. That is for him. Okay, but still I have covered here, but just for reference. But as a functional consultant, what are the points you're talking about in your typical FS? Okay. So first thing first, check the requirement is going to meet the business requirement or not. Okay. So for that reason, I also mentioned that you have to always refer the BRD, business requirement document. Okay. Yes. So whatever when before you write it. Okay. So just go through that. Second point, check whether there is any standard reports available to suffice your requirement. Okay, so you should not take an immediate decision like, yes, my business is asked it, I must develop it. No. So first of all, you have to analyze the requirement. After doing the analysis, you have to find out whether there is a standard report which is sufficing your requirement or not. If it is meeting your requirement, then directly, or suppose the business is asking for a specific scenario, say only for this particular payroll area, then what you can do, you can simply put a payroll area and you can create a variant. You are aware of variant, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So simply, as simple as that, you can create a variant and you can ask your business user that you go to this particular transaction code and you have to use that particular variant. In that way, you do not have to create another report for a particular payroll area or a particular person area, PA, PSA. So that variant options is there. Okay. So in that way, there are many other ways of doing that. So first of all, after analyzing the requirement, make sure there is the standard report is also sufficing the requirement. Okay. So that is the second point. You're getting my point?
Yes.
Yeah. Third point is a very important one. Actually, this is from a project management point of view. So like how much time it should take. Okay. So that development. Yes, because for that you need to coordinate with your developer. Okay, because the developer and also the technical testing. So whenever you'll be doing, you'll be putting some time to your testing also. Okay. So in some of the organization, there is a dedicated tester also, tester or a QA team. We call it technically in a very good name, quality assurance team. Okay. So whenever you are designing your functional specification, you can say that this development will take say 5 days, 7 days, or 10 days of 10 man days. We can say man days. Okay. This many man days required. Okay. So that it will be also helpful to the project manager. Okay. So it will be helpful to your PM, project manager, or the whoever, the management. Okay. So that the effort estimation accordingly you can plan. So that will be the idea here. Okay. Any questions here? Time and effort. Simple one. This one.
No.
Yeah. Next one is a performance issues. Okay. So what will happen? So whenever you are downloading a report, let's say you are having say 20,000 employees. Okay. And you're downloading say report for any kind of payroll related report, say reconciliation report, and due to some reason, the report should be executed within say 1 minute or 2 minutes, but it took long time. Okay. So like suppose it's a custom report. I'm talking about custom report whenever I say custom. Okay. So it is taking 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Sometimes it says after executing for 30 minutes, it says timed out. You might have came across in some scenarios, such kind of thing. Okay, so in those cases, you have to ensure there is no performance issues, and that can be solved by the technical developer team also. Okay, so like this, you can say in your functional specification, to execute this report, it should not take more than 2 to 3 minutes. So those kind of specifications also you can mention in the functional specification. Are you getting my point?
I got it.
Yeah. So those kind of things you can mention. Okay. So the next one is future changes. So I'm just making spelling mistake. So future changes you can make, like go for just like any kind of research report people write, people who do generally PhD and all, they do write a certain things, our future area of future scope of area, or what are the limitations. Okay, at present, what are the limitations and what are the possible things can be done in the future. It is an optional thing, but still you can mention to have a holistic understanding of the your functional specification. Okay, that you can mention. Then next one is scalability. Okay, so what is the scalability? Any guess?
Scalability, the size or the
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, it will be helpful for say rollout. Suppose you are working in a rollout project. Okay. So what you will be doing? So in a typical rollout project, suppose let's say you have designed a report for one say one state. Okay, and very similar requirement came from another state. Okay. So in that case, you do not have to create another program, because in other state you are using a similar program. You are thinking that yes, that program can be reused. Also, you can use the concept of reusability. So for other states also. Okay, so suppose it's very similar program, very similar requirement. You do not have to create multiple times. Rather, you can give a referral to the existing functional specification. Your developer, you can ask the developer that we can scale it up for other states as well. Okay, so those kind of scenarios are common whenever you are going through a rollout. Okay, so you are implemented in one location, in other locations you are going to implement. Okay, so same reports or same RISE-FW, okay, the same requirement you are having, you can go for that. You're getting my point? Yeah,
I got it.
Yeah, yeah. So next one is a future upgrades. Okay, this is a very important one. Just listen carefully. So whenever you are having any kind of upgrade, okay, so every 6 months or every 1 year you are doing for enhancement pack upgrade or any system upgrade is happening, this custom reports every time you have to test very carefully. Okay, so testing is plays a very important role. Whether all of your custom objects, suppose in your total you have created set 200 objects, functional specification you have created that for 200 different objects, everything to be tested very carefully. Because what happens sometimes, due to system upgrades, some of the fields can be like maybe obsolete, and some of the fields can, new field may come. Okay, so in those cases, every time you have to test each and every object whether it is working properly or not. Those things you have to analyze everything. Okay, so that is the difficulties generally we face. The more the custom reports you are having, the more effort you will take. Okay, so that is the thing here. So this is regarding future upgrade point of view. Then point number 8 is basically regarding technical and functional specification. So as I am discussing functional specification, so technical specification also follows functional specification. Whatever your functional specs says, and it should be reflected in your technical specification by your developer. They should. So for you, the source is BRD, is a functional specification, but for a technical developer, the source is functional specification. Are you getting my point? So the the flow is like this. So BRD, BRD to FS, FS to TS. Okay. So this will be a typical flow. Okay. So everything generally BRD will be a separate document, and some of the organizations they follow like this would not, they do not want to miss the different documents. So they generally combine FS and TS in a single document, or you can also, it can be also separated, but it should be identifiable. Like in the TS, you should be giving a referral or a reference link for the FS. Okay, this is my TS for this object, say object number 4173. Suppose my object number is 4173, and the FS also should be having similar same number like FS 4173, so that you can easily identify them And also, if it is possible, you can also mention the object prefix like R. R means it's a report, R4173 or similar, depending upon the, again, there is no hard and fast rule. I'm just telling from my experience how to easily track, because that is the
Okay.
purpose. Okay. So this is the technical and functional specification thing. Number 9 is data volume. Okay. So whenever you are dealing with any kind of a report or any kind of objects, okay, how much data actually you are dealing with. And also it is a link with your performance issue. More the data you are having, it can be take more time. Okay. So because the payroll data comes from cluster results table. Okay. So that also you should think of, like because sometimes what happens, the sizing can be also an issue. Suppose let's say you are uploading certain document. Okay, let's say in ESS, employee self-service, whenever you are declaring certain kind of tax or certain kind of things, reimbursement. Okay, you are uploading certain proof. Okay, as a scan copy. So in those cases, the volume of those attachment can be also can cause performance issues. And also you have to monitor those data volume. Okay, not only the data, also the attachment, whatever those things. Okay, again, little technical. Like you can talk to your SAP basis team also. SAP basis. Okay. So it's not a particularly job for a functional consultant. Any kind of this thing. So once in a while, this kind of thing come. But from a best practice point of view, I just told you, like you have to take it.
Okay.
Okay. The last point is usability. Means that particular report or particular enhancement or particular forms, how frequently that is used. Okay. So like say, suppose I'm talking about a pay slip. Every day with everyone will not be downloading pay slip. It can be the salary day, or it can be the every 2 week or every 1 month. They will be people will be downloading that particular say pay slip or reports. So that also you can mention in your functional specification clearly, that this report to be generally it is every month, or you can say like if it is a report to be scheduled on a typical basis, you can say it's a monthly, weekly, or hourly. Okay, so those kind of things you can mention. Okay, so these are a couple of leading practices from my experience, and I just thought of sharing with you, so that it can be also an interview questions. What are the things you have to follow as a functional consultant? What are the best practices? Okay, it will be. I hope it will be helpful for you. And the regarding technical part, I'm not going detail about it. Only thing is you have to remember here the authorizations. Okay, so technical who will be responsible for what kind of security related thing. Okay, that you can decide. There is a report for that, standard report, RSC auth. Okay, so you can design, you can talk to your developer, technical consultant, and they will be helping you with that authorization object, that is S_develop. Those things are there, but it's not very much required because it's generally asked to the technical consultant. Okay, so this is all about for today's functional specification related thing. So what I will going to do, I'll be sharing a document with you for a pre-read. So
Yes.
okay, so it will be helpful because that will take less time to cover. Just let me share that document with you. Can you see that document?
Yes.
Yes. So this is a typical very best practice functional specification document. It covers everything. 23 pages. I have just given a hypothetical 50TS name, the company. So ignore that logo and all. So
Yes.
functional specification, it will be covered. So whenever you're designing any function, so this is an example where exactly it's a combined, both FS and TS are in the same document. Okay. So it can be also different document, you can depending upon your requirement. Okay, but I prefer in a single document so that it will be easy to follow functional and technical in the same document. Okay, but again, there's no hard and fast rule as I have mentioned. Okay, so here in this basically you will be mentioning the RISE-W object type, whether it is a workflow or it is a conversion. Okay, those all things you can mention, and you can mention the number also. And also here you can mention those typical thing like who is the functional lead, manager, developer, and the sign off, when it was signed off and not even approved. Okay, all those details you can mention. And this table of contents is very important. So here you'll be talking about different like object. You'll be giving all. First of all, section 1 is very important. You'll be giving a purpose why we are developing that functional specification. Okay, and what are the definition, acronyms, abbreviation you are using that in that particular FS. Okay, so then you'll be having different section. Suppose if it is enhancement, then you'll be elaborate more on the enhancement side. Okay, In that case, you'll be covering only enhancement details, and the remaining section, even if it is there, workflow reports, okay, in that section you can leave it blank and you can say it is not applicable because it is an enhancement object. Okay, so in this same process you can follow, like for if it is an interface, then you'll be focusing on the section 1.6. Okay, so these are the things you'll be covering, but remaining topics you can leave it blank in your specification. Okay.
Yes.
So this is regarding, it can be maximum up to 14-15 pages. Should not be more than that. Okay. Otherwise it will be a configuration implementation guide. Okay. So generally we keep it simple for maximum 10 to 15 pages maximum. Okay. Covering all these things. Okay. Then similarly technical documentation also, it will be having some another 5-10 pages. Okay. So it is not responsibility of ours, but whatever functional specification you have designed, depending upon that, your technical specifications should be developed, not the other way around. Okay? So this is the thing. And even also I've included the testing scenarios also. Even this also plays an important role. Generally, people skip it. Okay. So generally they write 1 line, 2 line like that in functional specification, but there should be dedicated section for testing. Okay. And it should involve both your functional as well as a technical side. Okay. So as a functional consultant, what are the things you'll be testing? As a technical, so he'll be also doing a technical side of it. Okay. So you should be mentioning those expected results and the actual results. Okay. From a data point of view, what are the test data is required? Okay. And what are the validation scenarios, and everything will be covered. Okay. So this is a typical structure of the 3 sections I have discussed. But as a functional consultant, our focus will be on the section 1 and section 3. Okay. And section 2 will be developed by the technical ABAPer. You're getting my point?
I got it.
This is a total structure of the thing, and I will share this document immediately after the session, and so that you can go through it. And if you're having, we will discuss it tomorrow. Okay, so I'll be coming up with the examples of all the 6 varieties of things. I'll be sharing that to you. And here, after going through this document, if you are not understanding certain things, okay, you just highlight those areas and all, and we'll be having interactive discussion also tomorrow. Okay, and certain things is not applicable, like certain things says SRM. Suppose if you are not using SRM, supply relationship management, because it's a very generic template. So you may leave it. Okay, like SRM, you can say like it's not applicable. Okay, those things you can mention here. Okay, so we'll be discussing in detail about it. And in the meanwhile, I'll be sharing. This is the standard document which generally I use, and I recommend it because it is everything I have included here. Okay, so I'll be sharing it with you immediately, and you can go through it in detail. Okay, is that fine?
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, then we will stop here. Then we will meet tomorrow at the same time. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Jack, for your time.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.